Cory Booker calls Trump elderly, weak specimen, rejects testosterone urge to punch president. The only thing I can say when I read this, I started laughing and I'm like, shut up, Cory Booker. You don't want to punch the president. You know what I see when I see these stories? I'm just like, the Democrats are like, they weren't the losers in high school, but they certainly weren't cool, and they were the plastic kind of people desperately trying to be popular. Does Cory Booker really think saying that, oh man, I gotta resist the testosterone urge to, like, wow, you really don't know what charisma is. And that's what I want to stress. We're gonna go through this story, and look, Trump is an old man, but to target an old guy and claim you have to resist your urge, like, come on, dude. So I'm gonna throw some shade the way the Democrats, as per usual. And listen, man, the thing is, Obama was strong. Obama was strong. You don't have to like the guy, you don't gotta like his policies to admit, to recognize that the dude had strength in his voice and he'd tell people to buzz off. That Obama did that. The Democrats of today, there's nobody on this field who has the strength that Obama had. That's why Obama won twice. That's the point I want to get to. I made it before, but let's read the story. Now, before we do, head over to timcast.com/donate if you want to support my work. PayPal, crypto, physical address, you get it. The most important thing you can do is just share the video, subscribe. YouTube deranks independent commentary, so I rely on word of mouth. Let's read the news. Cory Booker, huh? Newsweek writes, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker said, despite President Trump being an elderly, out-of-shape man, Democrats are in a moral moment and can't stoop to his level of pithy name-calling and body-shaming. Literally, you did that. That's man, pot, meat, kettle. The 2020 Democratic Party candidate for president said he was approached by a former fellow Stanford University football player that, oh my God. Cory, stop. You're not helping yourself. He was approached by a former fellow Stanford University football player at a recent Iowa campaign rally who asked him to, quote, punch Donald Trump in the face. He replied by telling the burly man, dude, that's a felony, man. Yes, it is. It's beyond a felony. You can't hit the president. Come on. Booker, speaking on Late Night with Seth Meyers, used the anecdote to illustrate how civility can defeat Trump in 2020. Well, that I will respect, Cory. Spot on. Although he peppered in several insults about the 73-year-old president's unhealthy weight, strength, and stamina. Booker called Trump a physically weak specimen as the crowd cheered and a visibly bothered Myers asked to move the conversation away from physical insults. Aw, Cory Booker didn't want to body shame people and then literally did. You can't body shame Trump because it's against your, well, never mind. They don't have rules. Apparently it's okay to body shame people you don't like. That's what we've learned, I suppose. So Booker called Trump conversation away from physical insults. And you know what? This is Cory Booker. Donald Trump is a guy who you understand he hurts you, said Booker. And my testosterone sometimes makes me want to feel like punching him, which would be bad for the elderly, out of shape man that he is if I did that. I gotta stop. I gotta stop and say something. Based on reading this, it actually feels like Cory is. You ever see one of those videos? There's tons of them where it's like two dogs are barking and there's a fence, and then someone will like open the fence, like slide out of the way, and the dogs immediately stop. That's what I see with Cory Booker. Now, Trump's not involved, right? Here's the way I see it. Trump is this admittedly older and, yes, to an extent, out of shape dog sitting on the other side of the fence while he's yipping and yapping. When I hear Cory Booker say this, it actually says to me that Trump would probably beat the crap out of him if they got into a fight. And look, I get it. Cory Booker's a lot younger, so sure, there's an advantage there. But there's something I've learned that I don't want to say is a universal law, but there's a saying, it's said in a lot of different ways. Like when you go to a bar, you got to watch out for the quiet person who's trying to avoid the fight. You know what I mean? The people who try to pick the fights, man, they get laid out. Not always, but I've seen so many videos. Because here's the thing. There's a video where a boxer, professional boxer, is outside and it's like a surveillance footage. And you can see him putting his hands up and these three guys are like getting in his face and he's going like this, clearly saying like, hey man, stop, I don't want to fight you. And then they swing at him and he goes into boxer mode and he goes, boom, one shot, boom, one shot, boom. Here's the thing. People who know how to fight, people who know they can actually hurt you, do not want to fight. I've I have friends who do different, like, kind of martial arts. I've got, I have one friend, they do, like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I'm not super into that kind of stuff. But whenever I talk to my friends who are, like, into martial arts and stuff, they always say, like, actually, Joe Rogan was telling me this. The people who are trained to fight are, like, the last people who want to fight. Like, they understand the power, they're disciplined, they're trained, they're practiced, and they're not scared, right? People who talk big and act like they're the hotshots who are going to beat you up, that's a signal to me you got no game, Booker. And even though, I don't know how old is he, like in his late 40s, you got a couple decades advantage on Trump, I don't buy it. Like, why would you say that? Not only that, but let's move beyond whether or not Cory Booker would actually get into a fight with the president at all, let alone who would win. And my question is, why would Cory Booker even bring up the question? It sounds not like he actually would ever consider. It sounds like fellow kids. You know what fellow kids is? It's different, but let me explain. On Reddit, there is a subreddit or a forum for those that don't know what Reddit is called Fellow Kids, which is basically mocking like corporations and individuals that are trying to pander to young people. It's from that 30 Rock episode, which you probably seen the meme where Steve Buscemi has this. He's old and he's wearing a hoodie. His shirt says Rock Band and he has a skateboard and he's like a private eye and he's like, "How do you do, fellow kids?" That's what I hear when Cory Booker tries to talk big like he's gonna beat up Trump. It sounds like somebody who's trying to be like, "Hey guys, I'm really tough. Wah, I could fight the president." And it's you're not fooling anybody, dude. This is the problem with the Democrats. It is the fake plastic attempts at looking strong. You don't got it, okay? Let me go back to Obama. Obama had it. And that's why he won twice, period. You don't gotta like his policies, I'll say it a million times. I detested his foreign policy. Detested to an extreme degree the indefinite detention provisions, but I recognize the man had strength behind his voice. He would lean in when talking to you, and he would say straight up X, Y, and Z, this is what we're doing. I saw one interview where he was talking about immigration, and he did not pitter-patter, he did not back down. He was like, no, we cannot have these people coming here. We cannot do. I'm like, whoa. And it makes me, when I see the Democrats of today, it really does make me miss Obama. Because again, not about policy. It's about an actual debate. It's about an actual display of strength from both sides. As someone tweeted to me, they said, an eagle requires 2 strong wings to fly. The Democrats are flipping and flopping and floundering under Trump. Trump has strength behind his voice. We all know it. In fact, he goes too far with it. I was in a car ride today in an Uber on the way to the studio I'm in. Oh, by the way, for those that didn't know, I'm in the Blaze studio. I just did an interview with Glenn Beck. So they're letting me use one of their rooms to record before I fly back out. But I'm in the Uber on the way here, and the guy says to me, he's conservative. He doesn't like Trump's attitude, but he feels good that Trump is finally stepping up to the outrage mob. And I laughed, and I'm like, I hear you. People want a strong president. Cory Booker looks plastic when he does this. He does not come off as strong, but I think that's what he's trying to do. Maybe Cory saw my video from a couple days ago where I said, you look at all of the Democrats up on stage and none of them have the strength of Obama. And they can pretend they'll never have it. So, look, here's the way I put it for all the presidents. There's pros and there's cons. Most presidents have some good things about them, some bad things about them. I tend to lean like there's a lot more bad things than good things. But you can look at what did get a lot of presidents the victory, and I don't know what to call it. Like it's an X factor, I guess, right? You look at the way Obama talked. You look at what he pushed, and he'd furl his brow. No. He'd say like, and that resonates with people. You can look at Cory Booker, and it seems like he tries. He tries to present strength, but he doesn't have it. Now, I will give him some respect because I have seen some conversations where he's absolutely pushed back on people with, he has displayed strength before, but this right here shows the plasticity, the fakeness that is the Democrats that doesn't work. Think about how Trump would speak. Trump gets up on stage after that Republican body slammed a journalist, and he's laughing, and he does that motion. I did not like that behavior, okay? But I absolutely recognize he's taken nothing from nobody, and that, while I can disagree, like you should never physically attack someone. A journalist should not be physically attacked. Again, they don't get special protection, just shouldn't do it to people. I don't like the attitude, but I can recognize people see that, and Trump laughs, pushes back, and says, I can do what I want. And while there's reasons to criticize that behavior, you have to accept that is a display of strength not seen in the Democrats. And so you're going to get a lot of people who vote on that alone. Think about it, man. What are people really concerned with in today's day and age? The economy, policy for sure. But the president is the commander in chief. Do they want some frail, listen, Bernie and Trump are similar in age. Bernie's a little older, I think. But Bernie looks weak. Okay? I liked Bernie back in the day. He's let me down. You look at how those activists took over his stage, and I'm like, that is not presidential. The president needs to basically put the hand on the forehead while they're trying to, you know what I'm talking about? The smaller person swings, but they can't reach, and they hold them back. The president doesn't just need to be able to bring about good policy decisions. They need to display strength and inspire confidence. Now, I'm critical of Trump for not doing the latter. I think he's lost. It's not necessarily his fault. It is in a lot of ways, but the media really does hate the guy. They're making money off him. Trump could do better, in my opinion. But Obama, actually, I take that back. I feel like a lot of conservatives today feel the way about Obama that liberals feel about Trump, to an extent, right? I want to make sure I clarify this, in that the current iteration of the media on the left have lost their goddamn minds, and there should be calm, rational criticism of the president. We're not seeing it for them. We're seeing frothing at the mouth, pink-faced screeching. Not from everybody. I'm calling out the weirdos specifically. Don't throw eggs at my house. Let's read a little bit more. Booker said bigotry and demagoguery have always existed in American politics, but that notorious Southern civil rights era politicians, including George Wallace and Bull Connor, weren't defeated with bigger dogs and bigger fire hoses, but instead by artists of activism who drew upon the American sense of morality. How did we beat them before? First off, don't mistake strength for to be strong, you need to be mean, Booker said. We need to be, as a party in this moral moment, we need to talk about not what we are against, but what we are for. I agree with that. So I will admit this. I will make fun of Booker for this silly display of, I gotta resist my testosterone urge to punch them. Oh, come on, shut up, dude. Just chill out. But I can respect him when he says we need to be civil. We do. I'm not a huge fan of Booker, but I gotta admit, I like the guy more than most of the Democrats, and I will admit that he does have some strength, but not enough. Think about all the Democrats on the stage. Do any of them come anywhere near Trump's level of strength? You can call Trump's strength brutish, boorish, and wrong. Don't care. The point is, he looks tough. Sure, he's an old guy with weird hair, and Cory Booker can point out he's an elderly man, but it's not about physical toughness, although Trump is a big guy. It's about mental. It's about projection. It's about the look in the eye. It's about the attitude, the X factor. Booker doesn't have enough, but I can respect him here for saying we need to be civil. We do. They say Booker launched a charm offensive in March by saying his campaign would beat Trump's hate with love. Seriously, come on. On Monday, the New Jersey senator laid out the case for Democrats to employ courageous empathy and civic grace, despite the difficulty of dealing with a president who uses the opposite political tactics. That's Trump's tactics, Booker continued. And you don't beat a bully like him fighting him on his tactics, on his terms, using his turf. He's the body shamer. He's the guy that tries to drag people in the gutter. This is the moral moment in America. And to me, what we need from our next leader, especially after the time of moral vandalism that we're in right now, is we need a leader that's not going to call us to the worst of who we are, but call us to the best of who we are. I agree to more than 50% here with Booker. Trump does try to drag you into the weeds. He knows how to play the press, and he knows people. Whether anyone wants to admit it or not, Trump knows this game. And I will disagree to an extent. Booker is trying to differentiate himself. And while I can respect him saying we need to be the best of who we are, completely agree, take the high road, you've got to recognize cheaters win. Okay? When Trump goes on the debate stage, he doesn't say, I disagree with Jeb's current idea on policy. To an extent, he does. Okay, I'm not trying to act like Trump doesn't, but Trump brands people. He takes that, he understands perception is reality, and he uses that to his advantage. If you don't know how that works, and you think, I am just going to ignore it, you'll lose. End of story. You will lose. Trump is going to figure something out about Booker, and he's going to say it, and it's going to stick like glue, and Booker's going to try and play this high road game. You've got to know how the game works. You've got to confront, to a certain degree, Trump on his own playing field. Otherwise, I look at it this way. You're on the high road, sure. Trump goes right underneath you and walks right past you to victory, to the goal. You've got to be able to defend yourself on all fronts. So I can appreciate the call for civility and the attempt at bringing out the best of us, but Trump really did change the game. That's why I like Marianne Williamson, because she gets it. I think she's a little kooky. I'm not trying to be mean to her. I think she's a sweetheart, but she's a little out there. And I disagree with, there's some weird videos of her like asking white people to apologize to black people. And I'm like, that's weird. But she does bring up these issues about Trump's personality. And she was one of the few to recognize Trump didn't win on policy. He won on who he was. He won on personality. He won on targeting individuals. It's not about whether you're going to go on stage and say, we need X. It's about going on stage and saying these people are nuts. Keeping in mind, policy does play a big role in this. So Trump does have policy positions, not like Beto, right? Beto might be like the weakest person on the stage. Like, I can look at Booker and roll my eyes and say, like, nice try, but at least you're trying. What does Beto have? No. I'm sorry, Beto. I don't think you're a bad guy, but I think Beto should drop out. Let's read a little bit more. If we make this election all about him, that's a small man, one office. That's not what I want this election to be about, he continued. We will beat him. I will beat him. But we need more of a movement election to create new American majorities. I'm not talking about Democratic majorities, but the fact of the matter is we actually agree about a lot more than we disagree on. And I'll end by saying this. We don't need to. I've gone a little bit long on this video. You can act like the woke, regressive nonsense isn't a problem. There's a lot of people I know who are progressive, who are liberals, who just don't see it because they only follow mainstream news. You've got to read more sources. You've got to balance your news diet. I can't tell you how much, man, that regular people are seeing the fringe wackaloon left guiding the narrative. And if Booker thinks he's going to get out of this without calling out the regressive left that's becoming a it's a vocal minority, but they're dominating the conversation. If you don't call them out, then you have ostracized yourself. But here's the thing. The activist left who they need for the primary, they're being indoctrinated by the delusional state. But I'll leave it at that. Let me just end by saying, tone it down, Cory. No, we don't believe you have an overwhelming testosterone urge to punch the president. You need to chill, because it just comes off as fake. Stick around. Next segment will be at 4 p.m. youtube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel, and I will see you there.